Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Deziel and today I do with you the assembling of the coat project. We're now going to start where we left with the back lining. We're going to assemble the front with the back at the shoulder, just like that. Then it's time to start with the sleeve. You could cut the little excess you have on with your bias on both sides. Then place your big sleeve on the table, unfold the hem, and place the small piece over, align on the back side because that's where you're going to start. You're going to sew unfold the hem all the way up using the little wrinkle you did as much as you need. Keep the big sleeve under while you're sewing and then go press your seam open. I ask you to go do your pressing on the back seam of the sleeve first because it's a little harder to press. You could use your dress form arm to do the pressing. It's going to help a bit because of the little excess we have. After it's pressed, that's what you get. No pleat, just your little ease, and it will be easy for you to go and do your second seam. You will get your sleeve all sewn. For the second seam also, I put my arm inside for the pressing so I don't disturb the first pressing I did. Now for the lining, you did also the shoulder seam and you did press your seam open. To facilitate the assembling with the facing, you're going to start by doing your side seam from top to bottom and make sure you unfold your hem. Once your side seam is sewn and you press your seam open, you could do the hem just by folding about 1 centimeter and fold again using the crease that you already did, and you're going to top stitch at 1 millimeter from the top fold. We're now ready to sew the sleeve to the armhole. I already turned mine, so I have my right side over, and I'm going to put it into or set it into my armhole, starting at the underarm notch, matching the side seam on your bodice. And I'm going to sew on the sleeve, starting at the underarm, go all around, and then come back a little bit over where you start. You could also check that your ease that we did with the bias is going to fit perfectly with your armhole. Now you could see the sleeve edge is done and there's no pleat at all. It's because I'm sewing with my sleeve on top, so I see exactly what I'm doing. If there's pleat, I could eliminate it before doing it. And the other reason why I do sew my sleeve over is that I could go over the seam I did to sew my bias on the sleeve edge, or just a little bit further so you don't see it from the outside. We have one last seam to do to say that the inside is complete. It's to attach the facing to the lining. The facing has one little notch at the bottom that we match with the length of the finished lining. So when you start, place your lining good side with good side, add the notch, and you sew all around until the other side finish exactly the way you start. Now we assemble all the inside piece. I just wanted to say that if you do have a little problem or complication sewing the lining to the facing. In this area, the top part of the front, just do a stay stitch from the notch up. It's going to help you because when you sew, there are different curves, so it might seem that your lining gets a little longer than your facing, but we know it's not. Also, you might have noticed, to make sure that my shoulders are going to match, instead of trying to put your pin right at the seam, just align your piece properly just before reaching that area and put a pin on each side of the seam. That's going to assure you that your seam are going to match perfectly while after it's open. Now we'll start the assembling of the main fabric, and we're going to place the front over the back face to face, and we're going to assemble both shoulders and both side seam this way from underarm until the notch that you have on your pocket extension. Don't forget to back tag there, and you're also going to sew from the bottom, so make sure you unfold your hem from the bottom to also the little reference you have at the extension of your pocket. Now you could see my shoulder seam done and press open. I also said to press open the side seam, so both part that we sew. But I forgot to mention that, of course, while you press from the notch, you have to shift both seam allowance towards the front. And you do the same thing from the bottom up because both sides of the pocket are going that direction. Now it's time to complete the sewing of the sleeve. We're going to do it the same way we did for the lining. Put your big piece at the bottom, good side up, and put your small piece over, good side with good side. We're going to start with the assembling of the back side, so the longest one. And you're going to sew from the top until the corner, then turn and turn again, and we have to sew until this seam that we did to sew the corner of the sleeve. But you have to make sure that you push all the seam allowance so that you don't catch them with your seam. So all of them, even the bottom part, all seam down, put your corner together just like that, and when you sew you only grab 2 layers back tack. If you finish your seam 1 stitch before, it's okay, but 1 stitch extra, it's no good. Both sleeve like that, then you're gonna press your seam open. Now this first seam of the sleeve is done, and I also said to open your seam, but here again you have to shift maybe around the notch area. You have to shift the seam allowance because they both have to go towards the small piece, just like the slit. Now we're ready to do the second seam, the front one. So you're gonna put them together and stitch all the way down, unfold the hem, and the little thing, doesn't matter which side you're sewing, you must stop at the notch, at the hem notch, and shift your fabric so you have the seam allowance for both layers. Now it's time to put the sleeve into the armhole, so you're going to turn your sleeve on the right side. I could also show you to turn the corners out. The mitered corner that we did, we open the seam, bring the little corner down also and push it out. And the other side is just a normal seam. So bring the seam allowance on one side. It helps you to push it out. We could almost see the result now. It just needs a little pressing, but the slit is done. You're going to find which side your sleeve goes and put your sleeve inside the armhole like that. So my sleeve is on the right side and I will be sewing in my sleeve. You're going to put your underarm notch of the sleeve matching the side seam of your arm, of your coat, and you're going to sew again on the sleeve, matching all the notches From the underarm, you go all around and come back a little bit over where you start. Now that we have sewn both sleeves without any pleat, we're ready to do the two last seams. First, we'll do the pocket. Place your side seam like that, so you have only your two pocket back together, and you're going to assemble with your normal seam allowance. So from this side seam with a back tack all around until the other side seam with a back tack also at the end. Then to secure your pocket, I want you to do a second seam halfway between the edge of the seam allowance and that seam you just did. Back tack at the beginning, go all around one more time until the end and back tack again. Now here we can see the result with the two seams for the pocket bag. And we're ready to do the last seam for today. We're going to assemble the collar to the neckline. Place the under collar facing your garment and you're going to sew it on from center front, matching your shoulder and center back seam all the way to the other center front notch. That's it for today. I hope this video will be helpful. It's now time to try on and I will come back to show you how to do the finishing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.